Tonight, the Bridger Foothills fire in Gallatin County continues to rage. Officials report the blaze is still 0% contained. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, with just 2 months until Election Day 2020, we bring you the first of a two-part series as our chief political reporter takes a look at the facts behind the rhetoric and the latest flood of TV attack ads. And later, social media saves lives. How one man's search for a kidney transplant led him all the way to his own backyard.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks so much for spending your Sunday night with us. I'm Matt Holzaffel. Our top story tonight, the Bridger Foothills fire still ablaze and spreading as officials report 0% containment. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has been at the incident command site most of the day. We send it to her now for an update.
According to the U.S. Forest Service, the Bridger Foothills fire is still active, reporting 0% containment.
The acres today are 7,000. Overnight we did an infrared flight, which gave us a lot better mapping. Yesterday's update had an estimate from the rapid growth yesterday, and the acres that came out of that infrared flight are 7,000 acres.
Residents have been evacuated from Bridger Canyon, Kelly Canyon, and Jackson Creek due to the growing fire. As of this morning, all unaccounted residents were reported safe. Now the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office is working on keeping residents away from the scene.
So we're trying to keep everything as clear as possible. So right now that's our focus. And then also we have fire movement. So that's a big concern for ours as well. But I've just been told that we have warned everyone and cleared everyone out. So things are looking really good.
Some of the biggest concerns now, winds that are picking up and the fire approaching Bridger Bowl Ski Resort. And of course, structure damage. We asked Sheriff Gutkin for a report on the number of homes that have been damaged. And he said,
dozens, easily. I've driven up through there and it's pretty devastating. We'll have a better idea tomorrow with the weather to be able to go up through and get a better count.
On Sunday afternoon, responders held a public meeting and said the cooler weather in the forecast should help, but won't solve all the problems.
This fire is going to be here. We're going to continue to manage it for the long term, obviously through September. Then even when that fire is completely out and we're able to get that thing contained, we're still going to be working with this fire.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Gabby. And officials reported in the public meeting this afternoon there have been injuries as a result of the fire, but Gallatin County Sheriff's Office confirms the 3 firefighters who were trapped and had to deploy their fire shelters as the fire burned through their location yesterday have been released. They were able to walk out after the fire passed and were taken to Bozeman Health for medical evaluation. DNRC Director John Tubbs said they did exactly what was expected of them in a dire emergency, and thanks to training and safety and quick action, they will return home soon. New at 10, a house fire broke out today on the corner of Pintail Court and O'Reilly Drive in Helena. No one was inside the house except for 3 dogs. Don't worry, the dogs made it out safely. The fire broke out around 4 in the afternoon. According to the homeowner, a small grill that hadn't been used in over a year had leftover coal and direct sunlight somehow sparked the fire. Investigators said the grill burnt through the back deck of the home and began to burn the backside of the house. One of the neighbors, Heath Johnson, noticed the fire and began spraying it with a hose. He was also able to get 1 dog out of the house until fire units arrived on scene and saved the other 2 dogs. The West Valley Fire Chief says Johnson is a former volunteer firefighter and made a big impact from preventing further damage to the home. With just 2 months until Election Day 2020, Montana's closely watched U.S. Senate races entering its home stretch. But as the COVID-19 pandemic has severely limited in-person campaigning and candidate rallies, much of the battle between Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines and his Democratic challenger, Governor Steve Bullock, is being waged on the TV airwaves. Today, in the first of a 2-part series, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a look at the facts behind the rhetoric and the latest flood of TV attacks.
Governor Bullock entered this race with relatively good approval ratings. And a big part of the Republican strategy is to go negative and take that down. Like this ad from Senator Daines' campaign.
Bullock supports government-controlled health care and a carbon tax. He supports sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants. And he supports Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi's liberal gun control agenda. And he's ready to help them pass the largest tax hike in American history.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. But there's more from outside Republican groups. Like this from the Senate Leadership Fund.
Bullock stacked his coronavirus relief task force with his own campaign donors, and many of them stand to benefit. News reports found just 13% of Montana's relief funding had actually reached small businesses and towns by late July.
And this one from the National Republican Senatorial Committee.
An ambitious governor who exploits Montana taxpayers, like the $14 million in state contracts paid to his brother's company, using state troopers as his personal security detail while abandoning his job to run for president. Bullock did find time to veto a bill that would have saved seniors $21 million on their Social Security benefits.
Let's start with that last ad. His brother's Butte-based engineering company did get those contracts, but that was long after Bullock's brother sold his financial interest in the company, although he still sits on the company board. The NRSC has provided no evidence that the contracts weren't properly awarded. State troopers did accompany Bullock on presidential campaign trips, as they do everywhere, under an agreement with the State Justice Department. Bullock agreed to pay the Highway Patrol's incidental expenses for out-of-state travel during his presidential campaign. And the $21 million? That was a tax cut bill that Bullock indicated he would veto, because he said the state couldn't afford it, and Republicans in the legislature passed it anyway. On coronavirus relief, about half of the 24 task force members appointed by Bullock to advise where the money should go have donated to his campaigns. And some of them own businesses that received relief grants, but they're a tiny fraction of the thousands of Montana businesses that have benefited. As for distribution of the money, nearly $300 million, or 25%, is now out the door, and hundreds of millions more have been allocated for schools, local governments, enhanced unemployment benefits, and other uses in the coming months. And finally, let's go through that raft of charges in the ad from Senator Daines' campaign. On health care, Bullock does support creating a public option, which would be a government-run health insurer to compete with private insurers, not exactly government-controlled health care. Bullock says he's never supported a carbon tax, although a Climate Solutions Council he appointed may recommend one. Bullock also does not support sanctuary cities. He did veto a Republican-passed bill last year to ban sanctuary cities in Montana, saying it was unconstitutional and unnecessary because Montana has no sanctuary cities. On guns, Bullock does support universal background checks, including sales at gun shows, and a future ban on the sale of assault-style weapons. And finally, that largest tax hike in American history, that's presidential candidate Joe Biden's proposal to raise taxes on those earning more than $400,000 a year, a proposal that Bullock has not said he supports. With 2 months until Election Day, no doubt you'll be seeing more of these ads going after Bullock and his record. We'll keep reporting on where the candidates stand. And tomorrow, we take a look at a line of attack and support on Senator Daines' record on China. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thank you, Mike. Now, absentee and other mailed ballots will be sent to Montana voters just 5 weeks from now. Well, switching gears, colder air is moving into the Treasure State, and our meteorologist Grant Garland is here to tell us more. Hey, Grant.
Hey, Matt, and you're exactly right. I mean, just step outside if you haven't in the past few hours, and you'll definitely feel a little bit of a little chill. Right now, 58 degrees in Great Falls, 50 degrees in Cut Bank. We are looking at warmer air staying west right now due to that stationary boundary. We're seeing cooler air behind that where we are at, and we're going to continue to see our temperatures dive. But take a look. Today, we saw 77 degrees as our high here in the Electric City, 87 in Kalispell, and 90 in Helena. Definitely a big temperature difference. Winds 13 miles an hour right now in Great Falls as well as Havre, 15 in Cut Bank. And we are looking at not only clouds, but we're seeing too, we are looking at some rain that has been moving into the area. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so that you can see Fort Belknap as well as Malta, Hayes, Whitewater getting into some rain as well as Havre. And we are looking at a winter weather advisory for those that live right along the Rocky Mountain front, like those in Browning. And we're looking at possibly some winter weather moving in. And I'm going to time all that out in a little bit. But for now, Matt, back to you.
All right, thanks, Grant. Well, turning our attention to the coronavirus numbers from around the state, we're seeing just under 8,300 total confirmed cases at last check and just over 1,900 active cases. Cascade County showing 373 total cases with 174 active. Remember, they had that breakout at the Cascade County Jail attributing to those numbers. Lewis and Clark County reports 207 confirmed cases, just 14 active there. Coming up, MTN's Alexi Guayo is going to jail. Don't worry, he's okay. Lewis and Clark County is getting a new jail facility, and Alexi got an inside look at the building before it opens.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. Well, in tonight's Montana Ag Network feature, Lane Nordlund tells us how Montana ranchers can help a family find a cure for a very rare disease.
3 years ago, 6-year-old Grant Heaton of Warden was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. His father, Paul Heaton, told me there is not a cure for the disease, but they are doing all they can to find one.
Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a genetic disease that causes progressive muscle wasting. It affects 15,000 boys in the U.S. and 300,000 worldwide, so it's really rare. Our son Grant, how his muscles work, break muscles down and build them up stronger, and his break down and turn into scar tissue. So usually boys with Duchenne are usually in a wheelchair around age 12. They generally don't make it out of their mid-20s. We decided to have a cattle sale to raise money for research to try to fight this bugger of a disease.
To find a cure, the Heaton family has teamed up with Billings Livestock Commission to hold the Calves to Cure DMD event. Producers are encouraged to consign a portion of their livestock sale on September 17th to help fund research for a cure.
Somebody can bring in an animal. It don't have to be a calf. It can be a yearling, a bull, an old cow. Kind of our target is anything that's not going to go on a semi that you're going to have to bring to a sale anyways. Bring it to our sale, and the seller gets to pick how much of their check to donate.
The tax-deductible donation goes directly to an organization called Cure Duchenne, which funds groundbreaking research, early diagnosis, and treatment access.
Some people donate their entire check, and that blows me away every time it happens. Some people donate a set dollar amount, like $100 out of their check. It's up to the seller, whatever they can do and want to do. This isn't the type of sale where one calf sells 4 times. You bring in your animal and it sells for regular market price, and then whatever you want to donate.
Producers interested in donating a portion of their livestock sales on Thursday, September 17th at Billings Livestock Commission will need to mark that on their consignment paperwork, and those animals will sell at 1 p.m. Other cash donations and information can be found on the Calves to Cure DMD Facebook page. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Len. He also says that last year's first cattle sale, $17,000 was raised for DMD research. Lewis and Clark County is getting ready to unveil its new jail in Helena, but first, they invited community members for a sleepover, and MTN's Lexi Aguayo thought it might be a good idea to join them.
Yes, this is me getting patted down, booked, and processed into the Lewis and Clark County Detention Center. But as a volunteer. Is it one size fits all? The sheriff's office invited community members for sleepover to test out the new detention center.
As everyone knows, we did the bond levy a while back and we got it approved for the building, restructuring the building and the staffing and all that. And basically what we're trying to do now is get the public to see what we've done with that.
8 individuals were screened for COVID-19 before beginning the jail sleepover. We were all guided by detention officers and Sheriff Dutton as they explained the new features of the jail, like kiosks and tablets for inmates, as well as ADA accessible cells. We were also guided by a participant in the sleepover. Detention Captain Alan Hughes joined in to help the volunteers navigate through life as an inmate.
Really, with nobody actually here that knew the philosophy and the reason why we're doing some of the things we're doing in the jail, I figured, might as well jump in, join in. At least if anybody had any questions, I can answer any questions.
One of the biggest questions answered was overcrowding in the jail. The detention center had capacity to fill about 80 inmates, but housed over 100. Now with the new pods, the center can house 156 inmates in total. All these new additions, but none of them are considered the most exciting one.
Direct supervision pod.
What we call a direct supervision pod.
Direct supervision puts the officer inside the unit with the inmates. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They manage the unit by walking and talking. It's not something where you're just going to go look through the room and see if somebody's doing okay, if they're awake, that type of thing.
That we'll eventually have vending machines in there. We'll have extra things that they can work towards. They have to be at their best behavior once they earn their way in there.
Lewis and Clark County will have the first multi-level detention center in the state. They hope to be fully operational within the next few weeks. After a long night of tossing and turning for many participants, including myself, we ate breakfast and packed to end the sleepover. Participants felt the experience was an educational one.
And it was eye-opening, and it just gives you a whole new perspective on the criminal justice system.
You can take a look, you can walk from the outside, look in, take a tour, but it's a lot different when you're sitting in there and the door closes and the lights go out.
I think Lewis and Clark County has improved its criminal justice system significantly.
That is the experience in the new detention center. The one thing all the officers agreed on was that this bond the public voted on did not go to waste. In Helena, I'm Alexi Guayo, MTN News.
All right, Alexi, thanks. Glad you made it out. And a reminder, Lewis and Clark voters approved that $6.5 million bond back in 2016.
Well, temperatures tonight a lot colder, 41 degrees in Great Falls, 42 in Helena, and even colder tomorrow night. Don't go away. Your 7-day forecast is coming up next.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a fantastic Sunday evening. Hope that you're also getting ready for a cold day tomorrow. Make sure you have that umbrella with you and pack some warmer clothes. Right now, we are looking at stark contrast in temperatures as we have a front that is separating the warmer air from the cooler air. 58 degrees in Great Falls, 70 in Missoula, 54 in Lewistown, 55 in Glasgow, 48 right now up towards Havre. And our winds, so we've seen a breezy day today. 28-mile-per-hour winds gusting in Helena, 25 in Great Falls, down towards Billings, 26, and looking at 35 out towards Jordan. We're going to be looking at a breezy day as well tomorrow with 35 to 40-mile-per-hour winds gusting pretty much everywhere. And some locations like McDonald Pass even seeing possibly 50 miles an hour. Looking at rain that has already started to make its way across and south of the High Line. Looking at Malta getting in on a good downpour there, also out towards Havre and Chester. We're looking at rain also extending down towards Jordan and just clipping Wolf Point. We are also looking at a winter weather advisory for pretty much a lot of folks in our viewing area until that starts tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and that will go until tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. And this winter weather advisory says everyone that is at or above 6,000 feet, well, you all could be looking at possibly getting up to 6 inches of snow. And we're going to be looking at also and lower elevations, possibly seeing a mixture of wet snow that could create some slushy problems in the valleys. Now, not everybody's going to see snow. In fact, very little will. Pretty much all along the Rocky Mountain front, like those in Browning as well as in Hart Butte, you guys could possibly see some snow, but most of us will see rain, and we're going to talk about why in a second. Now, we are looking at tomorrow, again, a windy day, 10 to 20 miles an hour, 30 to 40, sometimes even 50 miles an hour for many folks. But as terms as what we're expecting, so we have this boundary front here separating the warm from the cooler air. We're already looking at rain that has been pushing into the area. As we go into tomorrow morning around 1:30, we're going to try and look at a few rain showers approaching Lewistown and Great Falls. I think that most of us will start to see that rain though after 3 a.m. We don't really start to see snow until right around 6 a.m. We're going to have that transition. We're going to see our temperatures really cool down up towards those along the Canadian border. As we go throughout the day, throughout the morning, we're going to see our rain shoulder even expand. We're going to be looking at pretty much getting a good dose of rain all throughout the day. Some folks could see the snow. Most of us, though, I think won't. It's just going to be a very chilly and wet day. And then on Monday evening, we're going to start to see things kind of break apart. Some of us could be looking at a few snow showers Tuesday morning, like in Helena. You guys are going to have a better chance than us here in Great Falls. And also those along the Rocky Mountain Divide will be able to see a few snow showers possible there. High pressure, though, builds in as we head into Tuesday morning throughout the day. It's going to clear everything out. We should be looking at a mostly sunny day on Tuesday. As far as how much rain we could be looking at, we've been seeing our models being consistent with ½ an inch in Great Falls, over 4/10 of an inch in Helena, almost over 7/10 in Lewistown, over an inch in Havre, and we desperately need that rain, so we're thankful for that. As far as snow, it's going to be very sporadic, mainly along the Rocky Mountain Divide again. We're going to be looking at just a few folks being able to see that snow, the snowflakes. As we go throughout the next couple of days, we will be looking at temperatures falling down to around 31 degrees tomorrow night, so it's going to be a really, really cold night for us all on Tuesday. Going throughout the night, 41 in Great Falls, 42 in Helena, 40 in Lewistown, and we're looking at a very cold day tomorrow all in all, and a little bit cooler on Tuesday, but temperatures will definitely be warming up. And then for our friends in Helena, we're going to be looking at really the same situation, just a bit breezier conditions.
Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. For all the criticism of social media, sometimes it actually does some good. Sometimes it can actually save lives. Here's MTN's Jill Valley with a story of how Facebook is helping one Western Montana man get the gift of a lifetime.
Sovereign Valentine is a personal trainer in the small town of Plains. 3 times a week, he drives here to Missoula for dialysis. His inherited kidney disease has done in his kidneys, although at first, he didn't even know how sick he actually was.
I've been a personal trainer for 30 years and did my nutrition really well all this time for 40 or so years, you know. So it sort of offset the symptoms in a sense, and I didn't know that I was in complete kidney failure.
Just like his older sister who had the same genetic condition, he needed a kidney transplant. So he decided to advertise for one on his car and on Facebook, where he posted this simple message: kidney donor wanted. And man, did that work.
The response blew me away. Ultimately, we got about 106 donors. About 95 of those were from Facebook. The rest of them were from the car magnets. It totally changed my perspective on life.
The willingness for people to step up likely saved Sov's life, because finding a donor isn't easy. According to the website organdonor.gov, more than 3,000 new patients are added to the kidney waiting list every month. 13 people die every day while waiting for a life-saving kidney transplant. And every 14 minutes, somebody is added to the kidney transplant list. So Sovereign is in the small town of Plains. He got more than 100 responses from around the country of people willing to see if they could be his living donor. But what Sovereign did not know was there was a woman, somebody he'd never met before, who was going through the process herself to see if she could be his living donor. But where in the world was this woman? As it turns out, right here in Plains, Montana.
We're all given a path in life, and this has always been part of my path. It's just time for it now.
Krista Standiford and her husband are pastors of Church on the Move in Plains. She'd never met Sovereign, but when she heard his story, something in her clicked.
And not just as a pastor in the community, but as an advocate, as a human in the town of Plains, I think that we should all do something to help somebody.
So after many, many medical tests, it turns out Krista was a match.
My value system says that it's not just an organ, but it's a piece of me. You get my cells, you get my whatever is attached to that. Need to make sure that that's something that works for him. There's a sense of gratitude that I have and that my family has because it gets to be us.
So this nationwide search for a donor ended up in Sovereign's own backyard. And it seems it was always meant to be.
This sounds crazy, but it's like we're twins almost. Like we were separated at birth. We have so much in common, interests, values, beliefs.
It felt so much better to know that we would be able to be a part and understand the person and the people that we were kind of doing this thing with. It's not for, it's with. We're kind of all in this together.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Now, Sav and Krista head to Seattle in about 3 weeks for the transplant, and Sav will soon publish a book on Amazon that helps people find a living organ donor through social media. We'll be right back.
Well, temperatures tonight, 40 degrees in Lewistown as well as Hayes, 41 in Great Falls, 39 in Cutbank. Very, very cold night, but not as cold as what we're going to see tomorrow. Going throughout the morning by 7 a.m., 46 degrees in Great Falls, 54 in Helena, 41 in Cutbank, 42 in Lewistown. If you are going out to the bus stop, well, make sure that you not only have some warm layers on you, but also a rain coat or an umbrella, as it will be raining for most of us. Going throughout the day, temperatures will fall. 43 at around 12 o'clock, 46 in Helena around then. By 5 p.m., 47 in Great Falls, 45 in Helena, 41 in Lewistown. And then we start to drop down to the mid to lower 30s. A lot of us seeing those 31-degree temperatures on Monday night, Tuesday morning. Overall, tomorrow's high is 48 degrees in Great Falls, 49 in Helena, 53 in Havre as well as Glasgow. Over the next 3 days, we will see our temperatures start to warm back up, but we first have to get through tomorrow, which will have our first taste of winter. For some folks, it's definitely with the cooler air. These are temperatures that we typically see in November, so we are definitely getting an early start at least with that. But we are expecting sunny skies to return after Tuesday.
That's all, folks. Have a great Labor Day. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Montana This Morning. Good night, Montana.